Have you ever met someone who acts like they couldn't care less about you, but somehow notices everything you do? They barely look at you, barely talk to you, and somehow still know what you're doing. And that's where things get interesting, because sometimes acting uninterested doesn't actually mean someone is uninterested. Sometimes it's actually a way of hiding how much they notice. Think about someone who claims they don't care about you, but somehow they notice when you change your hairstyle. They notice when you stop talking as much. They notice when you're suddenly spending time with someone else. And they definitely notice when you stop giving them attention. Sometimes the person acting like they don't care is watching you the closest. But why would someone do that? One reason is that showing interest can feel vulnerable. When you care about someone's opinion, their reaction suddenly matters more. So instead of risking rejection, some people hide their interest. They act colder because being obvious feels too risky. Another reason is pride. Some people don't want to be the first person to show that they care, so they wait for the other person to make the first move. And suddenly, two people who care are both pretending they don't. But there's another behavior you should pay attention to. People who don't care usually don't pay this much attention. They don't remember every little detail. They don't notice every small change. And they usually don't react when your attention goes somewhere else. That's why behavior matters more than one random moment. Anyone can accidentally look at you once, but repeated attention is different. And that's where the difference becomes interesting, because actions often reveal what people don't say. But don't make the mistake of assuming every quiet person secretly cares. Sometimes people are simply shy, sometimes they're naturally reserved, and sometimes they genuinely don't care. The difference is consistency. Do they remember things about you? Do they notice when your mood changes? Do they suddenly become more attentive when you're around? Do they behave differently around you than everyone else? Those patterns are much more meaningful. There's also something people forget about human behavior. People don't always behave according to what they're feeling. Sometimes they behave according to what they're afraid of showing. Rejection, embarrassment, looking desperate. Sometimes those fears control the behavior, so someone can care about your opinion and still act completely uninterested. That's why reading one signal can be dangerous. You need the bigger picture. Look at what they repeatedly do, not just what they say. The clearest answer usually comes from the pattern, not the moment. One glance means very little. 10 repeated reactions mean much more, and you don't need to obsess over every little detail. Just pay attention to consistency. Are they consistently noticing you, consistently remembering you, consistently reacting when your attention moves elsewhere? If the answer is yes, there's probably something worth noticing. But don't force a conclusion that isn't there. People are complicated. Sometimes their behavior has nothing to do with you, and sometimes it does. The important thing is not to guess too quickly. Watch the pattern, watch the consistency, and let their actions speak for themselves. Because sometimes the person who acts like they don't care is the person paying the most attention. And sometimes what looks like indifference is actually self-protection. So before you decide someone doesn't care, look at what they do when they think you aren't watching.